Okay, hello, this is video lecture number 31, the Market Revolution. We are going to talk about only two sections today. First, the transportation revolution and how it forged regional ties. And secondly, the growth of American cities and towns. So a market economy was already operating in the 18th century colonies. But in the United States after 1815, that economy grew rapidly and included even greater numbers of producers. The rise in manufacturing and the growth of cities and towns increased the demand for surplus agricultural produce, and farmers welcomed the opportunity to participate in the expanded marketplace. Because producers and consumers were often separated by hundreds or thousands of miles, the construction of turnpikes, of canals, and railroads was a necessary precondition to a truly national economy. This transportation revolution was itself a marvel, generating a good deal of attention at home and abroad. Geographic mobility and liberty were inextricably linked, and this accounted for the remarkable advancements Americans had made in such a short span of time. A man named Daniel Webster was equally enthusiastic about the peculiar energy that machines brought to the workplace. Indeed, without the contributions of these fellow laborers, the increases in productivity might not have kept up with market demands. Freeman Hunt's advice to businessmen was reminiscent of Benjamin Franklin's 1748 advice to a young tradesman, a reminder that markets may have changed, but the virtues necessary for success in the marketplace had not. Okay, so this is the market revolution, and we are starting with our very first section, which is the transportation revolution forges regional ties. The national road and other interregional government-funded highways were too slow and expensive to transport goods and crops efficiently. Americans developed then a waterborne transportation system of unprecedented size, beginning with the government-subsidized Erie Canal. The canal had three things in its favor: the support of city merchants, the backing of the governor, and the gentleness of the terrain west of Albany, New York. The Erie Canal also altered the ecology and economy of the entire region. The canal brought prosperity to central and western New York, and it linked the economies of the Northeast and the Midwest. And it also prompted a national canal boom. The invention of the steamboat by Robert Fulton ensured the success of this waterborne transportation system. The national government also played a key role in the creation of this interregional system of transportation and also communication. The passage of the Post Office Act in 1792 allowed letters and banknotes to be carried from one end of the country to the other. The Supreme Court encouraged interstate trade by striking down state restrictions on commerce in a case called Gibbons versus Ogden in 1824. The development of the railroad created ties between the Northeast and the Midwest, and by the 1850s, railroads became the main carriers of freight. By the 1830s, Midwestern entrepreneurs were producing goods that vastly increased output. John Deere plows, McCormick and Hussey reapers, to replace the ones that Americans had been importing from Britain and the Northeast. By 1847, entrepreneurs like John Deere were creating factories that relied on mass production to manufacture plows. Now, in the South, Southern inventors concentrated their resources in two things: cotton and slaves. And they preferred to buy their manufactures from the factories in the Northeast or directly from Britain. The Southern economy remained predominantly agricultural, and it generated less income per capita for Southerners than did the more industrial Northern economy. All right, our second section then is the growth of cities and towns. Because of the expansion of industry and trade, the urban population grew times 4 between 1820 and 1840. The most rapid growth occurred in the new industrial towns that sprang up all along the fall line. For example, Lowell, Massachusetts, Hartford, Connecticut, Trenton, New Jersey, and Wilmington, Delaware. Western commercial cities such as New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Louisville grew almost as rapidly because of their locations at points where goods were transferred from one mode of transport to another. By 1860, the largest cities in the United States were New York, Philadelphia, St. Louis, and Chicago, in that order. Now, the old Atlantic seaports, Boston, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Charleston, and especially New York City, retained their importance for foreign commerce and increasingly became centers of finance and manufacturing. New York's growth stemmed primarily from its control of foreign trade. By 1840, New York handled almost 2/3 of foreign imports and almost half of all foreign trade. Okay, so this does conclude our video lecture today. It's a short one today, the market revolution. So be sure to address the review questions that you see at the bottom of the screen and continue on with your work.